All right, so this is a one-dimensional object. This is a one-dimensional realm. So this singular line at the bottom, this is a one-dimensional plane. Any organism living on the one-dimensional plane can only see forward and backwards, and it can only go forward and backwards. There's nothing else for them. So then, to get a second dimensional plane, you'd have to stack up a bunch of lines. Imagine now every single line on this paper, an infinite amount of one-dimensional planes all within each other would equal this piece of paper, which is the basic two-dimensional object, a square, a flat square. So on this two-dimensional world, this two-dimensional realm, two-dimensional people, two-dimensional organisms. So these organisms in a two-dimensional realm, since it's an infinite amount of one dimensions, an infinite amount of lines, we have another line that comes up, a line going this way. So they can move not just forward and back, but forward, back, side to side. So now you got us. We are in the third dimension. So the third dimension is made up of an infinite amount of two dimensions. So when you have an infinite amount of two dimensions stacked up on each other, you have the third dimension. And now that there are infinite amount of two dimensions, you have an extra line, which creates a third dimension. So now there's more than forward and side to side. There's forward, backwards, up and down. This third dimensional organism, or a wolf, this third dimensional organism can go up, it can go down, go side to side. But another thing about this third dimensional organism, being in the third dimension means that we can see through things in the second dimension that second dimensional organisms can't see through. Phineas and Ferb across the second dimension right here, they can only see linear. They cannot see around this box, they cannot see what's inside of this box. All they can see is straight. This is blocking them. But us in the third dimension looking down, we can see inside the box. We can see what they see as linear as a whole. If we were gonna try to communicate with Phineas and Ferb, then we could be in this dimension, basically invisible, interacting with them. They can't see us or hear us, but we can move stuff. We can interact with them. We can interact with their objects. We would basically be a ghost. So if there were ghosts or spirits here, maybe they would just be entities from a higher dimension trying to communicate with us. Therefore, the fourth dimension would be an infinite amount of three-dimensional objects, right? But they wouldn't stack together like building blocks. In the fourth dimension, they would go together as a tesseract, per se, which is 4 blocks inside of each other. And when we perceive a tesseract, it looks like it is changing mass, getting bigger and smaller, it is moving. This is where we have to accept ignorance. We cannot physically comprehend as third dimensional beings what the fourth dimension would be like, but we know that it would be an infinite series of what we have here. And if a fourth dimensional being was talking to us, they would just be right here. We'd be able to see through everything. They could see through people, they could see through our houses, just like how we could see straight through the second dimension. Now, hypothetically, if there is on the next dimension, if they can talk to us, then the fifth dimension is just even more powerful beings. That is a series of infinite fourth dimensions, and it just keeps going on and on. We get up to the point where there's God and an entity that can be everywhere at once. It can be on every molecule, every place in time. I'll talk about that more, but this is just a brief explanation of how the dimensions work.